Today on Mountain Prep Week, it is day number 5. And today I'm talking to you about aerobic base, building the aerobic base. So many people have questions on how do I get ready for a mountain event? How do I get ready to climb a mountain or go for a multi-day trek? So I'm going to give you some tips in here, but first we're going to do a fitness test. What better way to do a fitness test than very specific? Now, I have a box right here. So this is a fitness test with step-ups. This is a good place to start with your base, right? With your aerobic. It's 15 minutes. I'm just going to show you how it's done. I'm not going to actually do it. Your whole program, you want it at least 12 to 16 weeks leading up to your trek, right? Whatever your goal trek is. Like you want a good 12 weeks. If you're already have a general base fitness, 12 weeks. If you find you're not fit at all and you're just coming into it new, then of course longer. So it's very individual, as well as the training plan is individual, but there's some basics, right? And in your week, you want to make sure you've got time for movement, so mobility. That's huge. You want to make sure you got your aerobic base, that you're building it up every week and backing off a bit every third week, and core training and a strength training, right? So you want to make sure you have all that. How you put it in is going to be based on you, your schedule, the time you have, the trek you're going on, all these little factors, but this is general. Let's kick it off with an aerobic test. So what do you need for this test? You need a box, like I have, or something measurable that you can retest again in about 5 to 6 weeks. So it can be a certain rock that you always pass by, or a step, but you have to make sure it's the same measurement each time. So you want to measure it. So you want to have a tape measure, you want to measure how big. Generally, you want to have it between 30 and 50 centimeters, right? Depending on height, fitness level. So somewhere in there. And so you make sure you record the number of the length, right? And the other measurable, if you have a heart rate monitor, you can measure your heart rate, your resting heart rate, and your max heart rate. You can figure it out. There's a formula I can write here as well to get a general, but that's very general. You can get it more specific when you take certain tests, but the number 220 minus your age for max is kind of a general number. And then for aerobic training, you want about 65 to 70% of your max that you're working. Now for a lot of athletes, that's so tough to stay in that range, including myself. It's so, we go for the intensity, but it's so hard to really train aerobically. I find it very difficult. Now, you are, is when, of course, when you carry a conversation, you're working, but you can speak a bit. Or I used to run a lot, do long runs, breathing only through my nose. Then you're very aerobic, right? So if you're training aerobically and you want to build up the time, you have to stay at that range. During the week, when you got shorter periods of time, you can push the intensity a little bit more, right? That's when you can use stair climbing. Because you can get a killer workout on the stairs in 30 minutes with a backpack on or no backpack. So think about what you're doing and what you're training for. So for a trek, it's endurance. You want to be able to trek 6 hours in a day and do it again the next day and do it again the next day, then do it again the next day. So you want to train as specific to that as you can. You want to build up the length of time that you're walking, hiking, climbing, and then be able to do it again the next day. Ups and the downs, right? And so you're much happier when you're on your trip. That's all. 15 minutes on your clock, okay? Make sure you take your resting heart rate, or your general resting heart rate, and then you take your heart rate again after the 15 minutes in a 20-second time, whatever number you get, here or here, times 3, whatever your number you get. Okay? I would recommend using a backpack with like a minimum of weight, so 10 pounds, but adjust the weight to the trip that you're on. If you're going on a trip where you're carrying a lot of weight, then put that in there. And if you only get through a little bit in this, doesn't matter. This is the benchmark to try to build from, right? So make it as specific as you can. Shoes, you can wear the shoes or boots that you're going to hike with. That'll help wear them in. Or you can use a trail runner, right? But definitely do this with shoes, unless you're planning to hike for 5 days in bare feet. So you're gonna step as many steps as you can in 15 minutes, okay? So again, evenly. So I would do like 20 on this side, then go to 20 on the other side, then go to 20. You can mix it up that way, or you can go 50, right? Tips, every 100 steps you can take a break, or if you need to break more, go for it. But try to keep it sort of like an evenness, every 100 steps or every 50 steps. And you need to keep count of your steps. So you have someone doing that, or you have a ticker, a thing that you click that counts things for you, or you're really good and you know in your mind, every time you take a break, you write 100, right? So that's important. Make sure you have the step height, backpack, shoes, and then all you do, start 15 minutes, up, down. You're going to come right off, down. Important tips, push through your heel, use your glutes, and make sure you don't hunch. Because when you're out on the mountain, you don't want to hunch. You see that as we get tired, we're more like this, especially with the backpack. What that does, reduces your ability to breathe and get oxygen into the body. So we don't want that in the mountain, right? So as you're stepping, practice that. Practice the shoulders back, practice the chest open, practice pushing your leg fully tall, not just a little bit. Keeping the knee over the foot. Okay, continuous, backpack on, and all those tips. Count how many you get, even on both sides, in 15 minutes, okay? 40 centimeters. 40 times my number of sets, or number of steps. So let's say I did 200 steps up in 15 minutes. Let's just say. Then I'm going to do 0.40 meters times 200. So that means I've climbed 80 meters. Doesn't seem like much, but right? So you're going to take the height in meters times how many steps. Then you're going to be able to calculate how much have I actually climbed out there? How many meters have I climbed up? Right? And then you take that down, and then in 6 weeks, you retest and see where you're at with the exact same measurables, the exact same backpack weight, the exact same shoes, right? If you don't want to test with this, you can pick a route, like a route where you're going straight up, right? And you know it's 200 meters, or you know it's 300 meters, right? Pick that route or a full loop, time yourself, and then in 6 weeks do the same loop and time it again. But it's a somewhat smaller, not a big one, okay? So this is a great tester to see where you're at. We're at 12 weeks. Most of my first tour in the summer, we're exactly like pretty much 12 weeks. So now's the time to ramp it up. Have a good starting base here, and then something to build up. Every weekend you're going to be upping your amount of time on the feet. Your weekend you want to use as your hike time and time to be in the mountains. If you don't have mountains, at least find some rolly hills, or find your biggest mountain. Maybe that's 100 meters. Backpack on, even if you have to go up and down. Even if you have to go up and down, or stairs, right? You just want to get the time on your feet and a little bit of the incline, right? And every week you're going to increase So by 5 to 10%, you're going to increase your length. And then every third week, 1, 2, 3, third to fourth week, you're going to pull back a bit on the amount you're doing in the week. So you're going to build, 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 pull. Sorry, every fourth week. You're going to build, 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 pull back. Build, 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 pull back. So you have a time to catch up. Okay? And then keeping in mind you're training everything. Core, you still got the strength. These are important parts. And the mobility with the aerobic base stuff. Okay? So that's it. And if you guys have any questions on the test, on building your aerobic base, anything specific, like I said, if you don't have mountains, you find a way. I was training for Kilimanjaro up and down a staircase in an apartment building, right? With a big, I filled that backpack like frig to the brim and sweating my balls off on the staircase. All you got to do is have an idea in your mind where you're going to go, and you'll find a way. You'll find a way to do it. Okay? And then you will be happy on that mountain. For the number that you get, so generally in that 15 minutes, if you get between 100 to 150 meters you've achieved, that would be considered about average, above average, right? If you get 150 meters you've achieved, to 200 is good. Then you're good. So above that, rock star. You're a rock star anyhow, but according to this. Okay, any questions on building your base, on training in the mountains, of how do I build my cardio from where I am, just let me know. Reach out to Coach K. That's what I'm doing. Peace out, guys.